In order to live, we must judge. We can't avoid it. We not only need to make decisions that require judgment, but every act of thinking requires us to make judgment. Many of these don't rise to the conscious level. We discern between a cat and a dog, or a car and a house. Every thought we have involves these kinds of judgments. But what about the places where we must make judgments more consciously? How do we reconcile the need to make judgments with the dictum, "Judge not, lest ye be judged"? And why would we follow such a rule in the first place? I would like to demonstrate that doing so has practical psychological and social benefits that both atheists and religious folks should appreciate. I have a rule of thumb that has served me well: judge actions and ideas, but not individuals. This has benefits for both the person doing the judging and the person facing judgment. It allows me to separate the behavior and thoughts of a person from the individual. I can identify things about their thoughts and deeds I find negative without jumping to conclusions about the person. This allows me to critique their ideas or actions without me demonizing them. This kind of demonization can cloud your thinking. It can cause you to hate people. This hinders your ability to judge their actions and ideas. It can also cause the person you demonize to resent you, making discourse more difficult. Let me explain where this understanding comes from. The English language has some weird quirks. Alfred Korbinski, the founder of general semantics, wrote a lot about the use of the verb to be. He noted the peculiarity of saying one thing is another thing. A lot of writers try to use this verb as little as possible. Some even engage in the exercise of writing in what Robert Anton Wilson called E-prime, writing without using the verb to be in any form. This forces you to show instead of tell your readers, and to use active instead of passive language. This might sound difficult, but I have done it up until now, with the exception of the example of is a few sentences back. I will give myself permission to slip out of it now, but I will still try to keep it up. Sometimes using a form of to be just works better. Sometimes you just need to make a declarative statement, and to be works best for this, though some weaselly words for getting around this exist. Exist is actually a good example. So are words like seems and appears. They can both take on a passive voice. In any case, writing in E-prime takes a lot of effort. Talking like this takes even more, and thinking like this takes the most effort. However, like all things, if you practice, it gets easier, and it has benefits for you and those around you. This brings us back to the topic at hand. When you start to think in E-prime, it makes your thinking a lot clearer. Just as it forces writers to show, not tell, this way of thinking forces you to actually consider what you don't like about someone by focusing on the ideas and behaviors of this person. We can't pretend our emotions don't influence us, but we can stop them from completely ruling us, and this helps. So instead of saying someone is an asshole, you say, "I don't agree with what that person said," or "I think they did a terrible thing here because." This communicates much more clearly than saying something negative about a person, and it takes the focus off of personalities, which can drown the conversation in demonization and hero worship on one hand, or narcissism and self-flagellation on the other. This can really free you and the person in question. In keeping with the Christian origins of this idea, it allows you to believe in the redemption and forgiveness of individuals, including yourself. It makes you more likely to listen to someone, and less likely to demonize them, more likely to engage in conversation with them, and less likely to get into a pointless argument with them. "He is a murderer" changes to "he murdered someone," and so on. This has influences on the way we look at other individuals and society, but also on the way we look at ourselves. It means we are not the worst thing we ever did, and neither is anybody else. A lot of people beat themselves up over their past mistakes and misdeeds. This can trap them by making them identify with something they no longer agree with. If I think I am a terrible person because of something I did or said, I just wallow in self-loathing, or at least that is a possibility. If I think I really should not have done that, or I was wrong about that, I become more aware of my failures as separate from myself, and this can at least encourage me to correct my behavior and thinking. In this way, critiquing our own thoughts and actions can only help improve us. Now, perhaps some individuals will not change. Perhaps some of them will always think, say, and do terrible things. But in most cases, it does not cost us anything to leave the door open for them. In fact, in most cases, not doing so just makes us bitter and prejudiced, less likely to listen to others. A lot of people resist this. A lot of people have identities tied up in their judgment of a particular person or group, or they have a sense of self tied up very closely with an intellectual identity. They say, I'm an atheist, or a feminist, or a Christian, or a socialist, or a libertarian. Insert literally any identity. This can really keep you stuck in one mode of thought by creating a rigid set of criteria that you feel you must adhere to in order to keep identifying as whatever identity you have latched onto. It makes much more sense to forgo these kinds of intellectual identifications and instead say, I think this because. However, many people shy away from this because it makes us sound less sure, and in a way it lays our thoughts bare and open to criticism. I find judging individuals creates a lot of blind spots, both when we judge ourselves and when we judge others. If I write someone off as terrible, I lose the opportunity to actually hear their point of view, which makes me more likely to concentrate on a straw man of them. I therefore walk around with a misconception of them that never gets corrected. Consequently, I make poor arguments against them and don't learn anything from their critiques of me, some of which could help me. Judging people harshly can also cause me to lose an opportunity to act in common cause with them on things we do agree on. I can still find someone's ideas detestable, and doing so helps me understand them and communicate with them and others better. Yes, some people do hold views so repugnant that we don't want to entertain allying with them. Other people have more reasonable views, but behave in a way that makes it unproductive to engage with them in debate. Some do both. But I see far too much throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Generally speaking, talking about ideas and actions produces a lot more useful conversation than maligning people. I realize that I have proposed something difficult. This is not something that comes easy to me, and I don't think it comes easy to most people. Oftentimes, my initial reaction to certain things is to say, fuck that person. But it is perhaps because I feel this anger so much that I realize needs to be tempered. It is actually grappling with that impulse that has helped me understand other people better and come up with effective methods for trying to do so. Thank you for watching, folks. Please like, share, and subscribe. I have a Patreon now. You can find a link in the description. You can also find a link to my Teespring store. All generalizations are stupid, so never speak in absolutes. Thank you.